1250 and 94.5 FM.
Rob Thompson, Carl Schoening. Halftime.
It's halftime. Grab your gear. Get to the locker room. We got stuff to talk about. We got to react. We got to get everything ready for the second half. Welcome aboard. He's Carl Schoening. I'm Rob Thompson. James Pledger on the other side of the glass. 2 hours of introspective, informative sports talk radio. Hey, we're glad you're with us. You're on San Antonio Sports Star. If you're joining us for the first time, this is our grand opening. No, for the last 2 weeks, Carl, we've been doing this. We've already been doing these shows. We had what they call in the business a soft opening. But today, it is official. As you join us at sasportstar.com, you'll see Carl Schoening on the top right-hand side with a nice logo behind you. You're on radio. You can talk.
Oh, hey, yeah, absolutely. Hey, I was just showing off the StreamYard. Yeah. Hey, I didn't realize that was my cue to join in.
That is your cue, man. Co-hosting with the mostest.
It was a fun 5 days of the 2 weeks for me.
Yeah. Who gets a vacation the week after they start? Only Carl Schoening. That's how you start a gig.
I knew Pledge would hold it down.
I'll show up, but I'm going to Mexico. Got a lot to talk about today. NBA free agency is getting going. Today at 5 o'clock is when everything can be announced. We expect to hear something. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised if we hear something in the next 2 hours.
We hear little flooding rumors of what is potential, but the people who know what's actually going down, Shams and Woj, they're definitely waiting until it's not officially tampering to announce official deals that can't be official until midnight of Friday, but everybody gets to, quote-unquote, officially talk now, so everybody's going to be making those 1-minute moves.
Beware the Marcus Morris.
Oh, gosh.
Marcus Morris is a scenario that we need to avoid. This happened to Brian Wright in his first go-around as general manager. I don't think that situation will arrive again. I think that landed squarely in the Marcus Morris New York Knicks camp. There's a little bit of comeuppance for the Porzingis supposed tampering sometime prior. Yeah, I would have liked to have had him. That might have made a difference. But today being free agent day, we'll look at what happened in the draft. We'll discuss a little bit about what Brian Wright had to say to us regarding the draft and the information they had that we didn't. And look at all the free agency. Since when did Austin pass San Antonio in the hierarchy of Sanchez, of potentials, of landing spots in the NFL? Because the Buffalo Bills are threatening that their Orchard Park Stadium isn't nice. They need a new one, and they probably do. That Austin could be a landing spot. Not San Antonio, the place with the stadium. Not there. But Austin. I guess they got a stadium, too. Pretty nice one.
No, Q2 is not big enough to hold an NFL football team.
You don't think so?
I think it's only 30,000.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about that stadium.
Oh, you're talking about DKR. That's too big to hold an NFL stadium.
Royal. No, that stadium's awfully small, but they do have a stadium. And this could be a good thing for San Antonio football fans that are desperate to have a team. Because obviously San Antonio's had a good run at trying. How many opportunities? I don't know, like 10 different times, I would think we've been mentioned.
Saints, Raiders, combination of those two teams several times.
Chargers were in mentions. The Rams were in play more than once, and nothing has ever happened. We have been the leverage forever. And I think after a while, you start to realize San Antonio won't be enough. But the addition of Austin, the money up there, and the population down here might be the perfect mix. So I appreciate that the Bills have thrown that out there, but it would never be built in Austin. They'd have to build the stadium somewhere between San Antonio and Austin.
That's where the land is.
Well, that's where the fans are.
I'd travel 45 minutes for an NFL game.
But that's 45 minutes with no traffic, my brother.
That's true.
There is no 45-minute drive between San Antonio and Austin, but any time between, 5 a.m. and, you can't do it. So they'd have to go halfway, and it would make some sense. It would build into probably a greater need in South and Central Texas. We're going to talk a lot about that. The Olympics continue to grow. We will get a Simone Biles sighting. Excited about that, Carl?
Good for her. Good to come back. I know a lot of people were probably on the wrong side of history with their initial knee-jerk reactions, but it's definitely hey, she needed to get in there at some point. She prepared too long for these 2021 Olympics. I think she would regret it in her grand scheme of her life if she didn't do something here and at least attempt to go out there. So she'll be in the beam finals.
Yeah, the twisties.
Yes, that's the term that they use in the gymnastic circles.
You ever had the twisties?
Can't say I've ever even attempted gymnastics.
Well, you're closer than I. Yoga's close. At least you're stretching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yoga is based off of a lot of gymnastics. In the 1920s, that was the popular individual sport, so they kind of formed yoga to be usable by the gymnastics people. So the gymnasts did a lot of yoga.
Why? Stretch out? Limber?
If I could go into yoga terminology, I would, but let's just go ahead and say that the most common poses are basically pulled from gymnastics.
I thought yoga was some kind of ancient Indian religion.
Religion probably isn't the right word, but yes,
spiritual
exercise. Yeah, it's sort of a path to enlightenment, if you will, sort of finding yourself, center, all
Zen?
that stuff. Oh yeah.
Have you found your Zen, Carl?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've been looking for a while.
Good luck. The yoga's the path.
MTV turned 40. Does that matter to anybody listening other than guys of my age?
I'm 30 and I hardly remember the music part of MTV.
Well, they haven't been played. 40 years old, but they only played 10 years worth of music.
I remember it in the 90s. They had Slim Shady and stuff like that.
Yo, MTV
TRL.
raps. TRL, yeah, they slowly grown into it, but 40 years old, man.
I'm 40, so MTV is my lifetime.
You're 40. You're 30.
I'm the internet. The internet is my lifetime. Internet and I were born the same year.
Yesterday, I saw something on Twitter. They were celebrating it, and they were playing the first 2 hours of. And in my mind, keeping in mind it was 40 years ago, I feel like I watched it. I feel like I saw and was prepared for the beginning. We knew it was coming through. I don't know how. There was no social media, but we knew something with music television was coming onto. It's called Paragon Cable. 656-3776, 656 ESPN, if you remember when it first started. I can tell you the first 3 videos played. First was the Buggles video, Kill the Radio Star. Oh, man, I've already forgot. I think second was like a Tom Petty song. Second was Pat Benatar. Pat Benatar was second.
I don't know who these people are.
Carl.
Oh, you're so sheltered. You're so sheltered.
How could you know? I mean, MTV stopped.
Sheltered? More like in my 30s. Young 30s. I just turned 30. Just
because you're in your 30s isn't an excuse not to know music of all genres.
Sure, I'm not the biggest music guy, to be 100% with y'all.
But, you know, when I was growing up, I didn't know any of my parents' music.
I did.
The 50s music? I didn't know any of that.
I absolutely knew that stuff. Chuck Berry.
But, you know, I think I knew
I
it
listened
not
to
because,
Paul Harvey.
Not because they were playing it.
Good day.
But I remember it just because it was that era. But I don't have any idea what my parents' music was. They weren't big. I think I remember
Ella Fitzgerald. Like, I remember music from previous genres, and even then I was curious. I went to the 70s and the 60s, and even back into the 80s, like kind of before I was really knew what music was. I went back to that new wave stuff. Like, I've always been curious about different genres of music because music's never new. It's just samples of old.
I'll tell you, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Every new music I hear now sounds something that came out about 1984. I think we've gone full circle back to the OG MTV days. So we'll look at MTV. What was the best series ever on MTV? TRL you mentioned. Then they also
Headbangers Ball.
There was also 120 Minutes, Headbangers Ball.
Yo MTV Raps.
Yo MTV Raps was not bad.
Liquid Television, Beavis and Butthead.
There you go.
Oh wow, y'all are going way over my head. I've only maybe heard of these, much less never watched any of them.
That's why the frontal lobes of this younger generation just isn't fully formed. You guys didn't get you guys didn't get what we got.
I think he says you have a soft spot.
I'm just saying. How can you exist in this world and never having seen Liquid Television?
Road Rules, Real World, Road Rules versus Real World Challenges.
Now, by that time, once we got to those, I was already.
Oh, that was the death of.
I'd already aged
MTV.
out. Yeah, by that point, I'd aged out when we were dealing with all that.
How old is Jack?
My son, he is 96. He's 26.
Okay, so did you force feed this? If he were sitting in my chair, would he be just as informed as you guys?
He didn't see MTV because by 96 there was none to watch.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel.
No, I
was
don't
born.
blame you.
Yeah,
I just feel sorry for you.
That's true. Hey, we don't run out of things to watch.
Oh no, you've got more than enough. We didn't have all that much.
I mean, but I grew up like differently. I watched Mr. Ed and Green Acres, and like Nick at Night was a prominent part of my childhood. I remember that. And these were shows well before my time.
Well, if we're going to do separators between generations, what did you watch when you got home from school?
See, I was a mature kid. I was probably watching Seinfeld in 5th grade.
Respect.
Love me some Seinfeld.
Seinfeld's awesome.
I wish we had that kind of thing. Us, my generation, it was Gilligan's Island.
Yep.
It was Beverly Hillbillies.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much all I remember. Lots of Gilligan's Islands.
Get Smart.
See, we didn't have Get Smart. I don't recall
Get
that
Smart
one in San
was
Antonio.
great.
Yeah, I remember watching it, but I think I saw it more in Dallas.
The Green Hornet.
The old school Green Hornet.
Mm-hmm.
There's too much right now, though, to where we can't have conversations with just anybody, because my favorite show right now, I don't know if y'all have seen it because it's on Apple TV, is Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
That is a phenomenal show.
I hear it's fantastic.
It really is.
It's worth I think it's only $5, and I think that nobody watches anything from Apple, but that is something that even if you're not a sports fan, it's American football coach coaching in the British Premier League for soccer. It makes everybody laugh. It is a genuinely good show that not many people watch, because I don't know that many people who have Apple.
But didn't that start off as a skit on NBC Sports Network?
It started out as a 5-minute goofy promo.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
It started out as just
a
goofy promo about an American football coach who had been hired, just like what the premise of the series is, but it was him giving his first press conference and not having any concept of the rules. And they turned that into a series that has now become a management exercise. That the way that he has handled his team and the way that he coaches and grows his organization is being adopted by business types, and they're writing books about Ted Lasso's management style. Crazy world we live in, considering not even soccer fans over here in this show's gotten big. One of the things we endeavor to do is make sure you're fully aware, informed. You're able to hold down a competitive, and I like to say competitive, but an understandable conversation with other sports types. You understand what's happening. So what we do is we have Carl get busy, starts about midnight, starts collating the headlines, throwing them together. It's time for Carl's Countdown.
That's right, it is Carl's Countdown. I'm asleep at midnight, but I do start getting rolling on these around 10 p.m., maybe around that time. So I put these headlines together, and I think one of the best ones for San Antonio to know here on Carl's Countdown for halftime is that NBA Summer League starts tomorrow in Salt Lake City. The Spurs release their roster as they get ready to make the trip up to Vivint Smart Home Arena, where the Utah Jazz play. Headlining that roster will be Devin Vassell, obviously the draft picks from the Thursday draft, Josh Primo, as well as Joe Wieskamp also on there. And there is a Skal Labissiere sighting, Rob. And I know that some people maybe don't even remember Skal Labissiere. He's only 25 years old. He's one of those, just like Jack, class of 1996 born range. So hey, good for him to be making the roster. He once had a lot of potential and just kind of bounced around the league, but he's still only 25. So the Spurs are going to see what kind of potential is left there.
Josh Primo, Joe Wieskamp, Devin Vassell, Daquan Jeffries to some extent.
Somebody's missing on that roster.
There's a Shamanich shortage. We're minus at least one Luka. Where's Luka?
Nah, I don't think he needs it.
You don't think he needs it?
He's played Summer League twice, 2 years of G League. He's going to be in the rotation this year. He doesn't need it.
He's also dealing with an injury, right?
He did break his hand at the end of the year, and I can't remember how long that is, but you don't want to rush back from a broken hand either. I don't know what kind of rehab he's doing on that. I think that he should be roughly almost done with that. That's about an 8 to 12 week recovery time. Has it been that long since the season ended? It's been longer than that.
It's been longer than that.
Yeah.
The reason I'm asking, he's Croat. He's not on the Olympic
He
team
was
either.
on the Olympic pre-roster, but I don't know if they're even in the Olympics.
No, they're not.
No. They had a friendly that he played in.
We're going to talk a lot about free agency. The summer league begins next week. They're all in Utah this week. It is Devin's debut. It's his quince. Put the pretty dress on Devin. Let him stand in the middle. All eyes on you. This is your catapult time because you're going to have to clear that space up in Austin for a young primo.
And he didn't get an Austin time, so I think this is big for Devin Vassell to kind of get those first option reps that he didn't get in Austin. So headline number 1 is a big one for the Colts. Quarterback Carson Wentz is out with a foot injury, but instead of immediate surgery, he's just going to opt to rehab with rest. And there are some draft.
We have an update to that.
We have an update to that.
We do have an update.
What's the update?
3-note sting there, James Pledger. We have got late word that while Carson had put off surgery and was going to try to rest and rehab it, better minds have come together. Appears he's going to go into the knife. He's going to have foot surgery.
Whoa.
They hope in 5 to 12 weeks, but that's a random bunch of numbers.
5 to 12. That is such a wide margin.
Well, then that pretty much makes sure that the first-round pick that was in that Philadelphia trade is now a second-round pick because he needed to play at least 75 of the offensive snaps for the Colts for the Eagles to get that first-round pick. It will not be happening if he is out 5 to 12 weeks. Even if he does come back, I imagine they'll be bringing him in a little slowly.
Well, 5 weeks, he'd be back for week 1.
He would be back and then. But the 12, we'd miss a few. He has 17 games.
That's true.
The realistic thought that suddenly this year, Wentz would be capable of playing more than 70% of the snaps. That's crazy. He never has before.
Nope. Yeah, he has. He has, but technically he hasn't finished out a season, except 2, I think, out of the 5.
So that was a strange poison pill to build into that. The Colts got to find an answer quick. They're in a win now mode. I mean, they go get Rivers, that failed. They go get Wentz, that could fail. They got everything. They've got everything they need to win, but a quarterback. Everything they need. Texans fans are at least kind of happy about that. Moving on.
All right, headline 0. The Bills are reportedly threatening to move to Austin. According to a tweet from Seth Wickersham, a writer for ESPN.com, the NFL's Buffalo Bills are considering a move to Austin as a leverage play to get public funding for a new $1.5 billion stadium. The Buffalo News reports team owners are asking taxpayers to pay for a whopping 100% of the new stadium. I think that's a tough ask for anybody, but I guess if anybody's going to do it, it's Austin. I could see that, I guess.
That's a mighty big promise. Did Austin build the MLS stadium?
I believe they did. I believe that was all
funded.
taxpayer money.
So Austin wouldn't build the stadium. The stadium itself would have to be built outside of Austin. So to watch a game. Texas fan will drive into Austin to watch a game. The Austin Bills, whatever the hell they want to call themselves, if they move, no. They have to put it someplace that'll be a little bit easier accessible because it's still Cowboy land. There's a reason why Jerry was so happy to talk with us. There's a reason why Jerry sat down with Jason Minix. There's a reason why we're at Cowboy camp. Jerry loves San Antonio. He doesn't want to cede this to anybody. But if he did lose or if a team did arrive, Cowboy fan won't switch allegiance immediately. Texan fan would. What few Texan fans survive around here, I think, would dive right in on the Bills. Because if you're a Texan fan, I think for the most part, you either grew up in Houston or it's anybody but the Cowboys. You know what I mean? I think you chose to be a Texan fan because, hey, everybody around me is a Cowboy fan. I don't want to be that.
Little column A, little column B.
Yeah, a little bit of that. Right. That's James Pledger. So I think that the Bills coming wouldn't be of great detriment to the Cowboy fan because I don't care who moves in. I'll try to be a fan, a local fan, but they will never replace. It just can't happen. At least that'll be the way Jerry works it.
I get the feeling, you mentioned it earlier, the 10 or so times that a team has thought about moving to Central Texas. Bet you Jerry Jones is more responsible for them not coming than perhaps San Antonio not putting forth a good offer.
I do think that he's had some sway over the years. But I realistically think that after he came down into training camp and he was in Austin and he circled Texas, he's pretty comfortable with the fact that he has Cowboy fans ain't going anywhere. And the further south you go from San Antonio, the more and more Cowboy fans you have. The fandom in Mexico is the Dallas Cowboys and the Raiders. And the Cowboys own all that. So I think that Jerry feels pretty comfortable with not losing fans. But of course, if a new team comes in, it's the McNairs that are going to fight it tooth and nail. It's hard enough for them to survive. They've got such a small fan base. It doesn't go west. Their fan base goes east, and they run right into the Saints. I mean, it is a very limited group that have stayed with them.
What do you think about that whole Mexico City or London being the next expansion or relocation team for the NFL?
I've said for years that the next expansion and true expansion outside the United States would I think Monterey will get a pro team before San Antonio did, but that was before that. We have continued to grow toward each other and are now being considered one market, even though we're not there yet. We will eventually. The metroplex that will be the I-35 corridor from San Antonio north to Georgetown, quite frankly, is in the next 20 years will be a powerhouse. There will be a place for every major sport, including more baseball. I think that there will be a Major League Baseball here in the next 20 years because the population will be such that it can support it. NFL, no problem. I think it'll definitely be here. The first step needs to be made. Somebody needs to come together and say, as a group of municipalities, we need to gather together and form a sports authority that includes all of these counties that have a stake. Let's figure out how we can do this and set aside a plan that includes light rail, large rail, highway access for all that are involved. Set the table, and then they'll come. This Bills thing, it's a power play. It's leverage. They're not coming to Austin, but we don't expect them now. There just has to be the legitimate fear. And maybe the Googles and the Amazons that are showing up, and who else is there? Joe Rogan, maybe he could throw some money in there. And Michael Dell, those are the players that need to be involved. Austin has the money. San Antonio has the ticket buyers. We get it all together, we might very well have a local franchise. What do you guys think? 656-3776, 656-ESPN, or your Kia Bossa Bacon phone lines. When you hear the Bills mention Austin as a potential landing spot as used for leverage, does that excite you as a football fan? You think, well, that's one more step, or do you think, well, it's Austin, it doesn't matter?
Well, when it comes down to it, I think that there is an area that is between San Marcos and New Braunfels that they're really developing and growing. Mm-hmm. And that is where the Raiders technically threatened to move. It wasn't actually San Antonio. It was that area, New Braunfels to San Marcos. And they're just doing nonstop building there. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a sports complex of sorts built in that area.
Tony Ornelas jumps in on Facebook, and I appreciate this. This goes right to the heart of the matter. Tony says, I'm a diehard Cowboys fan, but I'm from San Antonio, and the Cowboys and JJ have made me Jerry to those that have had dinner with him. Jer and Gene. Jer has made him pull his hair out for 30 years. Cowboys would be my second favorite team if San Antonio ever got a team.
Man, 30 years. I'm 30, and Jerry Jones has been running the Cowboys that long, hasn't he?
Yes.
Man.
There's some of us that think that's a short term. There's some of us that remember Jerry, it seems like just yesterday, and Tom Landry and that whole crew was just gone recently. There is that rough line. There is some pressure, I guess, for Jerry to go win. I mean, how long are we going to support mediocrity of some brand new team with a young Josh Allen, a little bit of Stephon Diggs, a lot of fun at running back, fun defense, cool coach.
Plus, there's the hometown aspect of it.
Yeah, you can't help but adopt. I actually have a Saints jersey. I have a Saints jersey that says 05 on it. I would be all in, but even then I felt a little like I was cheating, that I had to make sure none of my Cowboy fan friends knew that I had to go on the down low.
But that's the same conference. This would be different conferences.
And that would be the reason I think I could accept it. I think that would be the way that the Cowboy fan could live with it. You'll have your AFC team and your NFC team. Hopefully they never both play at 3:00, so you could get both every weekend. I think that would be an appropriate match. NFC probably wouldn't really fit Jerry's world. What's the name of their owners? Saw a special on them on 60 Minutes not long ago. Interesting group. Interesting ownership. Because it seems like his wife, the owner's wife, has a lot of control over the Bills.
The Bills, Terry Pagola?
Pagola.
Pagola.
The Pagolas, yeah. And his wife seems to have a lot of control over the Bills.
Kim is the wife.
Mm-hmm. Very, very busy. NBA free agency is in full effect. DeMar, we're waiting. Opportunities abound. Spurs, we're waiting. Brian Wright told us over the weekend, we still got work to do. Shooters and bigs. We'll come back looking at the NBA free agency. Where's DeMar going to go? Kawhi has opted out. Chris Paul has opted out. Russell Westbrook's wearing purple. The world is changing in front of us. We'll get you all caught up with the NBA coming up next because you're on the halftime. And this is San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
It's that time. Buses, school zone, study hall, and the classroom. It's back to school. And to make it special, you have the chance to win $1,000 in San Antonio Sports Star's back to school giveaway. $500 for you and $500 to donate to your school. No way. Register now at sasportstar.com. Powered by Aguero's Automotive Paint and Supplies. Good luck from San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
If you get arrested, get out of jail fast by calling AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. Text bail to 474747 or online mybestbailbonds.com. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else. Don't be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you one, make sure you understand the conditions before accepting it. AA Best Bail Bonds. Nobody beats their price. They have payment plans. Call 210-225-2121 or mybestbailbonds.com.
License number 149.
Hey there, it's CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger with an inside track on a company that could save your family over $800 a year on a basic service everyone needs, H2O Wireless. If you're with Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, H2O Wireless gives you the exact same coverage as one of those, but at half the price. That's right. H2O Wireless uses the same network, same towers. You can even keep your phone and number because switching is as easy as swapping a SIM card. Right now, get unlimited talk, text, and 15 gigs of data for just $36 a month. And if you want a new phone, H2O Wireless has huge savings on the latest iPhones and Androids. Here's what you need to do. Pick up your phone and dial pound 250 and say keyword get H2O. When you do, you'll save 50% off your first month. Again, dial pound 250 and say keyword get H2O, and your family could start saving over $800 a year today.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish
is pretty bad. So we're using Babbel.
Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive, bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said now we speak Spanish.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Prescription products require an online consultation. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
Think you might have ED? Not sure? Well, we'd like to let you in on a little secret. ED is common. About 40% of men experience ED by age 40, but the solution is simple. Find it at 4hims.com.
I didn't have to talk to a doctor in person. There was no copay, and the medication was shipped right to my door in discreet packaging.
Hims took care of it, fast and easy. Now our love life is better than ever.
Get access to doctors online who can prescribe you FDA-approved ED medication if appropriate. The same active ingredient as name brands, but 90% cheaper. Skip the waiting rooms and pharmacy lines. Get a free medical consultation and rise to the occasion or your money back. Go to 4hims.com/radio to get your first visit free. No copay required. The only way to get this special offer is to go to 4hims.com/radio. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Injuries happen, so if you twist, pull, pop, or snap something, you need Dr. David Espinosa at TSAOG Orthopedics. Dr. Espinosa treats all non-surgical orthopedic injuries and has same-day and next-day availability. Telemedicine services are also available. There is no reason to be in pain. If you are hurting, visit Dr. David Espinosa at TSAOG Orthopedics. Learn more at TSAOG.com. That's TSAOG.com. Or schedule your appointment by calling 210-804-5490.
Don't get caught in this San Antonio heat with no AC. Save Service First AC repair in your phone and have an AC tech on speed dial 24/7. 521-1500. For a limited time, save Service First AC repair in your contacts and get half off your service call and a free summer tune-up. For more details, call 521-1500. That's 521-1500. Service First AC repair and plumbing.
Have Service First in your phone. 521-1500.
License number TACLA 27100C.
Drawing up the game plan for the second half of the day.
It's halftime with Rob Thompson and Carl Schoening
On San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
It's halftime. No the required. He's Carl Schoening. I'm Rob Thompson. Tune in fast. Go to sasports.com. You can watch us live. There you'll see James Pledger
It's a good-looking chain.
I'm wearing the turnover chain. I earned it. See, we checked the tape. See, the name of the show is Halftime. It's not the halftime. It's just halftime. So if you catch me or Carl or anybody else saying the halftime, reach out to us. Let us know. The turnover chain must be respected, and I've got it on. Check out at Carl ESPN, at Rob Thompson ESPN, at I Am Pledger. Make sure you reach out to us. 656-3776. 656 ESPN are your Kia Bossa Bacon phone line numbers. Interesting conversation going on the socials regarding Austin and Quinn Hudson, co-host of the Sunday Sports Grill with Michael Jimenez, reached out. Said, he grew up in Dallas and lived in Plano and Arlington. Heck, Arlington is about as far away from Plano as Austin is from San Antonio, if not further. So it was no big deal. And I do believe that over time, even though San Antonio and Austin will never be a homogeneous community, we're never going to think like those guys. And those guys are never going to think like us, just like Fort Worth and Dallas. San Marcos will be the new Grand Prairie, the new Arlington, if you will, where we meet in the middle. We gather together in the middle.
It's growing a lot.
It's a ridiculous expansion through there.
They're preparing for it. They're actually building loops. Austin, on the other hand, said everything runs through I-35 and it's going to be a pain.
Well, that's why we don't like them. Where do you think DeMar DeRozan's going to play next year, Carl? Just off the top of your head, where do you think he's going to land?
I would love to see him in New York. I think that would be a very good fit. Him, Julius Randle.
Absolutely. You'd love to see him there. Do you think he's going to go there?
The report today is he wanted to go to L.A. and be part of that sign and trade that Russell Westbrook ended up being the guy that the Lakers got. And now, according to Sam Amick of The Athletic, he might end up back in San Antonio.
Let's talk about that for a second. The ramifications of that are huge. What do you think? Do you think that Wright and Pop, do you think they have any idea what's going on behind the scenes? Do you think that they have some kind of inkling as to where DeMar might be leaning?
Oh, of course they do, because he has to be involved in sign and trade opportunities, and Miami wants to get him bad.
Okay. So you think that the Spurs know that when the Lakers deal fell through, the possibility of him going to the Lakers fell through because of the massive deal they just pulled with the Wizards to pick up Russell, that was dead. It doesn't appear there's any way that DeMar DeRozan, even at a drastic pay cut, could show up and play for the Lakers. Am I wrong there?
His drastic pay cut would be the full MLE, which might be the taxpayer MLE, which is even less. And there have been just little random rumblings of him taking that to go to Miami or LA. I don't think it's like possible.
23, something like that. That's what he's talking about with mid-level exception.
Oh, less than 10 million.
Less than 10 million. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think he's doing that.
I can't imagine him taking that.
Especially since his last contract with Toronto, he left money on the table to be a Raptor. I think he sees this as his makeup contract, if you will. Possibly.
But he also has said he's willing to take a little bit of money, a little bit less to go chase a title. That's what, at least that was the thought process I got. If the Spurs went and drafted a young primo that is 6'6" point guard that gets buckets.
Two guard, but yes.
Point guard, two guard, whatever you want to call him. Lead guard. And DeMar decides to stay. How does that help the team in the long run as far as other positions? Because we weren't chasing another DeMar. It didn't appear. The Spurs were chasing a spot-up shooter. So Brian Wright said, we still got to go find some shooting. We got to augment our front line. That's what he told us over the weekend. We know that there's issues. We know that we didn't draft for need. We drafted the best player, the player that we loved, and I'll buy that. But if DeMar decides to come back and the Spurs are actively chasing him, they just picked up a Primo. We've got a DeJounte. We've got a Derek. And we also have a Lonnie that all look the same. Every one of these guys could be the same. Do you expect if DeMar comes back that there'll be others all still here as well? If DeMar stays and signs another deal, whatever it might be, is Lonnie still a Spur next year?
Well, that comes down to him probably deciding whether or not he wants to accept the extension that the Spurs may offer him, or if he wants to test free agency himself as a restricted free agent.
I'm talking about trading him. I'm not talking about it's not the ball isn't in his court. I'm saying if they add a Primo, they keep DeMar. We still have Lonnie. We still have DeJounte. We still have Derek. We still have Trey. We still have Patty. As we sit, doesn't mean he's
we don't have Patty at the moment.
As we sit, he hadn't left. But
okay, that's fair.
You know what I mean? He's still around. How many guards can we have if DeMar decides to stay? And if he takes up another roster spot, where are we finding shooting? Where are we finding augmenting? Where are we augmenting the front line if he stays? I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but if you're planning your work and working your plan, and I look at 7 guys, 7 guards, not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a lot of guys to share 2 positions, maybe 3 on the court.
Yeah, I think DeMar had been playing mostly the 3, and that's where he'll probably continue to play. And it's a weird situation. You have to realize the culture of the Spurs. I think DeMar likes it here. I think he legitimately has built a bond with a lot of these young players. They see him as a big brother. And those are the emotional things that we don't see as fans. We kind of see them, but we don't actually partake in that. We don't feel it emotionally. We want to, whatever it is we want as fans. I'm sure there's plenty of fans that want DeMar back.
Well, we don't. I don't think it's about not wanting him back. It's just about a matter of never really accepting him. I mean, he's been a fine placeholder. I don't think anybody's mad at him. But no, he never really has been accepted by Spurs fans. But if he decides to stay, to me, I know you never turn down talent. Yeah, I mean, if DeMar wants to be here, my goodness, I'd be happy to have him. But won't the saying argument still be in play? That he dominates the ball too much? That this mid-level jump shot game just ain't about it? And every guy that's on the court that takes mid-level jump shots, mid-range jump shots, is one guy that's not on the court that would take a 3, like whoever they go chase. I'm a little concerned that he is going to end up back here. I doubt it. I'm going to pay very close attention to Kyle Lowry. I have a feeling that where Kyle goes, DeMar might be interested.
Yeah, and that's what is in the headlines right now, that it's almost a foregone conclusion it's going to Miami, and Pat Riley additionally wants to get DeMar DeRozan. And I think that there were rumors that maybe the Spurs do a sign and trade, and Philadelphia will get DeMar, and Philadelphia will try their best to also get Kyle Lowry and make that reunion happen. So Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, according to Bobby Marks, he talked about this on SportsCenter the other day, or last night, I believe it was. They control this free agent class right now. There's not that much money out there.
Right.
And James Pledger letting us know that a Miami sign and trade for DeMar could net Duncan Robinson. But who does Duncan Robinson play ahead of, do you think? Lonnie?
Literally anyone.
Literally anyone? You think that he's that good that he should pretty much be the Spurs starting 3?
No.
No, I'm asking Pledge. He's the one who said literally anyone. And I asked you, who does he play in front of?
Well, I don't think he plays in front of anybody. You don't bring in Duncan Robinson to start. He's not a starter. We got like I said, we still got 5 other guards that can play power forward or small forward to point. We got 5 other dudes. Duncan Robinson's here to be a sniper. He is here to stand in the corner and wait for it.
6'8", you could play the 4, man.
Yeah, he could play the 4 at times, but he isn't a starting 4. He's not even a starting 3. But do you want a guy like that? Absolutely. 20 minutes a night you just go there. If you're hot, you get 25. If you're not, sit down. We'll figure out another way to go get buckets. I think he's just one addition to some that others, but I can't imagine the idea of him coming in to start. My biggest concern, we'll stick with this, is if DeMar decides to stay and the Spurs lay out $23-25 million for, you got to figure DeMar, this is his last deal, right? Don't you figure this is just about his last contract?
I could see him doing a 1+1.
I would like to think that would be the only way he would do it. But if it's his last deal, I'm signing for as long and as much as I can get.
And that might still be whatever offer the Spurs have at 1+1.
Chris Paul's about to make a whole lot of money at near 40.
Let's talk about those guys. So Chris Paul backs out of Phoenix, opts out anyway. Robert Sarver has not been immediately in on re-signing Chris Paul. The quotes have been, yeah, this is going to be an interesting situation. I'll be interested to see how this plays out. Sarver got a little bit of a polishing over the playoffs. He has not been an exemplary owner. I don't think a lot of Phoenix Suns, up until this season, really look favorably on their owner. Have you heard any rumors? What are your thoughts on Sarver?
Oh, Sarver? Oh, he is definitely a guy who penny pinched during the Steve Kerr era, in which he probably shouldn't have penny pinched. And it would be small things like, why do we have 17 guys on a preseason roster if we're going to be cutting 4 of them? So Steve Nash doesn't play 40 minutes tonight. That's why. So he kind of let his own influence as owner stop other people from doing their jobs. And that's something Pop always says is great about the Holtz, is they let people do their jobs. And sometimes as an owner, Sarver has interjected and made it say, hey, it's my way or the highway. And that doesn't always work in the NBA.
So, he's been polished and cleaned up. Now he's a winning owner. Went and got Chris Paul and hiring Monty and redoing a roster that's been in a process for a long time. Chris Paul backed out. I wouldn't be surprised if Sarver doesn't pay him. I think he'll offer him something, but it's not what Chris Paul's looking for.
I don't think you decline $44 million without some assurances that you're about to get a 3-year, $100 million deal.
But not from
you Suns. Don't think Sarver's going to give them 3 years, $100 million?
I think it would be stupid for them not to. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I just know that Sarver, up until this year, was not considered the type of owner that was all in to win. And now he has the opportunity to keep Cameron Payne. He was pretty good without Chris Paul. They won a game or two without Chris. Maybe I don't have to spend $45 million or $120 million to get the same results because Booker's going to be better. Ayton's going to continue to grow. Mikal Bridges, hell, that was the first time. I'm just saying what Sarver might be thinking. Okay, he's opted out. He's shopping. Kawhi Leonard is the other interesting conversation to have. So the expectation is, at best, he'll come back from his ACL during the All-Star break.
That is best case scenario.
Best. The Clippers go out and play well without him. We got playoff P. Now, granted, Reggie Jackson went bananas, but we got playoff P, and they looked as good or better than they did when Kawhi was in there. I'm not trying to argue that Kawhi made them worse, but I'm kind of arguing that that's a lot of money to spend on a guy that has zero reliability. You're already load managing him, and he's going to be out a year. He's probably going to only want a 2-year with a player option. I don't think I'd want any more than that if I'm Kawhi. I know you sign him, but do you at least question whether you should if you're a Clipper?
No, absolutely not. That is asset retaining. Because they're way over the salary cap. They can't replace anything with Kawhi Leonard. If he sets out the entire next year, kind of like what Kevin Durant did with that torn Achilles, he still sat out his whole first year with the Nets. You still have an all-NBA franchise-type player with Kawhi Leonard, and you hope that whenever he does recover, whether that's the playoffs or not, he's that kind of guy when he comes back.
If I ask you right now, what's your favorite video of all time? Your favorite music video of all time? What's the one that comes to your mind?
Man, what are music videos?
You had to have seen something. Even on the YouTube.
It's not as popular as it once was. Geez, what is my favorite music video? You shouldn't have put me on the spot like this. I'm sure it's probably...
Well, hold that thought.
Go ahead. Hold it. Yeah.
There was a time when Michael Jackson's Thriller was coming out that the build-up to Thriller was ridiculous. And when they finally showed the MTV, when it finally hit and it was in rotation probably 6 times an hour, most of this country watched Thriller 6 times an hour, over and over and over.
It's like 20 minutes long.
Yes, it was an extraordinary, and it was a fundamental seed change in the history of how we, took in music. You had Vincent Price and all that kind of stuff. It changed. That's my favorite video of all time. What's yours? You can jump out on us on the Kielbasa Bacon phone lines. You can hit us on Twitter. You can go to our Facebook page. When you think of the first one, what was was the first video you remember? Because we are celebrating 40 years of MTV. And I guess VH1's celebrating somewhere. Is there still a VH1? I guess they're still out there too celebrating. And we got a lot to talk about. It's halftime. And you're on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
This is the place where time stands still. With each down is a battle of inches.
How about 83 yards from Prescott to Elliott?
This is San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
This Sports Center update is brought to you by Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 100% satisfaction guarantee.
I'm James Pledger, and in the NBA, free agency starts today as the negotiating window opens at 5 o'clock today, with deals becoming official on Friday at midnight. A couple of names to keep an eye on for the Spurs are Cavs big man and former Texas Longhorn Jared Allen, Atlanta restricted free agent John Collins, and Warriors unrestricted free agent forward Kelly Oubre Jr., who, according to the San Antonio Express News' Tom Orsborn, there's mutual interest between the two, and Oubre thinks his game will flourish under Popovich and the team's developmental staff. The Spurs are also said to have interest in Trailblazers 6'11 forward Zach Collins. The Spurs have free agents themselves, the biggest being DeMar DeRozan, along with Rudy Gay and Patty Mills. And according to Boston Herald's Mark Murphy, Mills is one of 7 or 8 targets for the Boston Celtics this offseason. I'm James Pledger for San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Stop living with that awful joint pain, and don't let them tell you that surgery is your only option. Hey, it's James Pledger for San Antonio Sports Star here, excited to tell you about QC Kinetics right here in Hollywood Park in Westover Hills. QC Kinetics is the leader in biologic therapies, regenerative solutions that can repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, pain in your hips. Patients here are raving about getting lasting results from QC Kinetics. Call now to learn more at 210-571-0318. If you have chronic joint pain, don't assume the old treatments are the only treatments. Learn more about new biologic therapy options now available here. Restorative, regenerative joint treatments for joint pain. Finally, call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics at 210-571-0318. 210-571-0318. Get your life back without pain. 210-571-0318.
You know what makes every diamond unique and special are its 4 C's: cut, clarity, color, and carat weight. But do you know what makes Diamonds Direct special and unique? It's our own 4 C's. The first C, concept. Diamonds Direct has revolutionized jewelry shopping by eliminating middleman markups and giving you direct access to the world's finest diamonds straight from the diamond cutters. The second C, choice. Diamonds Direct's multi-million-dollar selection of precious diamonds is unparalleled, and with over 4,000 designer settings to choose from, you are empowered to make a decision that works for your style and taste. The third C, confidence. With a nationwide price guarantee, free lifetime warranty, our unique 110% diamond upgrade policy, and our no-pressure, no-risk environment, you have total peace of mind. And the fourth C, community. Every year we partner with local charities and nonprofits with significant donations of time, money, and jewelry to make this a better place for everyone. Diamonds Direct, as unique, special, and rare as every diamond in our showcase. Official jeweler of the Dallas Cowboys at the shops at La Cantera.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
We are honoring the pursuit of brews and barrel-aged bourbon every Friday at Bourbon and Brews. Get to Twin Peaks from 5 to 7 every Friday and experience a lingerie costume party paired with exceptional bourbons, tastings, and giveaways. Cheers.
WWE returns to San Antonio with Monday Night Raw, August 16th at AT&T Center. You'll see Goldberg. You're next. Plus, in a triple threat match for the Raw Women's Championship, you'll see Charlotte Flair.
You're not worth my time.
Rhea Ripley.
Charlotte, we just really don't like you.
And Nikki A.S.H.
I could beat both of you.
And more. Tickets start at $20. Available at Ticketmaster.com.
It's a baseball summer, and the Missions are back on at the Wolf tomorrow night for $2 Tuesday. The Missions battle the Corpus Christi Hooks. Come out and enjoy $2 tickets, parking, beer, and sausage wraps. Gates open at 6 p.m. with the first pitch at 7:05. Go to samissions.com for tickets and details. That's samissions.com. Wolf Stadium is now open to 100% capacity for Missions baseball. Let's get back to fun. Play ball!
At CDW, we get the people who need to sign here aren't always here.
Tell me about it. I'm always chasing down signatures. I go through pens and shoes like chewing gum.
Sounds like you need Adobe Sign orchestrated by CDW to securely automate e-signatures and workflows across devices from anywhere. Integrating with existing tools, Sign can save your organization time, money, and miles.
Thank goodness I can finally take these shoes off.
No. Back on. IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it. Find out more at cdw.com/Adobe Sign.
You're a weekend do-it-yourselfer who likes to tackle the big jobs, tree removal, digging, hauling, or cleaning up a job site. For those big jobs, you need big equipment, and at Ewald Kubota, renting equipment is a breeze. Dependable Kubota construction equipment, tractors, zero-turn mowers, or utility vehicles. Get it done right and get it done fast. Right now, all new rental customers get a 10% discount off their first rental. This is the Ewald Kubota way of saying welcome. For a store near you, visit ewaldkubota.com.
Texas Rangers baseball.
Leo 1. Joey looks to bunt toward third. Nobody there. Base hit, Joey Gallo.
Texas Rangers baseball happens here. San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN, AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Don't mind the brake lights. We'll get you there. San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN, AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Halftime. Grab your drinks. Get an orange slice. Sit down. We got to watch some film. Get ready for the second half. Blitz will get going at 4 o'clock with Jason Metz. A lot to talk about as the NBA free agency period will begin today at 5 o'clock. Let's hear a little bit of 3-note sting. I'm not sure how newsy this is, but it certainly excited James' pleasure. Now, I don't know who Trevor Zickgraff is.
It's according to Mark Stein, though.
Yeah.
You know who he is.
Yeah, Trevor Zickgraff tweets out that Mark Stein, he is very much a part and akin to the Golden State Warriors. You don't know who Mark Stein is. Spears. Mark Stein, I'm sorry. Turnover chain. Bring it over. Is reporting that Lauri Markkanen is the Spurs' number one target. And the Spurs are currently discussing sign and trade options to the Heat for DeMar. This is the reason why, if you're watching us live at Facebook, at San Antonio Sports Star, or on our YouTube feed,
I am willing this into existence.
And I'm not saying Brian Wright needs a win, but he does need to bring us something as a general manager. You got to bring me something. Keldon Johnson was good, but I feel like you fell ass backwards into Keldon Johnson. That you passed on him when you should have taken him at 19, and he just fell into your laps to close out the draft. Because when we remember that draft, Brian Wright's basic first one, it'll be the Keldon Johnson draft, although Luka went first. Devin Vassell could be a win. I don't know. We'll find out in the next couple of weeks as the summer league begins. But this is GMing. This is being a GM, being a talent acquirer. And if he goes and gets in a sign and trade a Lauri Markkanen, the bad news is somebody got to go.
What and who?
You tell me.
What do you mean who needs to go? Rudy Gay is going.
Is it Rudy?
Yeah, I don't think he comes back. He's already taken out a page saying he's gone.
If it is a sign and trade to get Lauri Markkanen, that means the Bulls are going to sign him to that qualifying offer or whatever offer that is.
Why would the Spurs try and sign and trade him, give up assets to when you could sign him outright?
Because the Bulls own his rights. The Bulls already qualified.
They're not going to match him. They got Vucevic.
I'm just telling you that to get him now, if they can just get him straight free agents, I'm happy.
Absolutely.
But if there's a sign and trade, somebody got to go.
I have heard rumblings that they like DeJounte Murray, in which case I laugh because I don't think that DeJounte Murray is worth Lauri Markkanen. However, that's the goal here, is to sign Lauri Markkanen. And your backup plan, if you don't go after Markkanen, is to get Bobby Portis, probably half as cheap.
Well, we chased Bobby Portis. I think Bobby is Milwaukee's version of Malik Rose.
But they don't have the money to match what the Spurs could give him.
I agree with that. But I'm not sure how successful Bobby Portis is elsewhere.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? I think he fits in perfect. He's a wonderful addition to Milwaukee. Pay him what you can because he gives you something. But to overpay for a Bobby Portis, who was impressive there, I like him. But I'm not going to give him too much money to come down here. I'm not going to overpay for a free agent.
So let's look at it from the Spurs perspective. There's two guys that you're paying $20 million plus that are in that front court position, right? Lauri Markkanen is getting the $20 to $22 million.
Yeah.
And then if they're really going to go for the home run swing, John Collins is getting $26 to $28 million. So you can't get those guys. They're restricted free agents. They're matched. There's Rashawn Holmes.
Mm-hmm.
There's Bobby Portis. I think JaVale McGee is in there. My point being here is your money starts to be almost a burden. What do we do with all of this extra money? And I don't know what they do if they miss out on a John Collins, which if this is accurate, it might be the fact that they don't think they can get Collins anymore because Atlanta probably should match any offer. And then Markkanen being their primary target, you probably have to overpay him to maybe that high edge of $24 million a year.
Do you see him holding on to money or just not going to spend it? We'll
They
go get Lowry. If we don't get Collins, we'll put that money in the bank.
That's fine with me.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think a lot of this was to go after a Giannis. Go ahead and be able to offer Giannis a max and then somebody else who could team up with Giannis. Oh, long term, you have to plan your cap space years in advance.
So you thought that you think the Spurs might be actually thinking Giannis might be a future acquisition, that he would leave Milwaukee to come to San Antonio? I'm not arguing
a year
with
and
you.
a half
I think
ago,
that'd be
2 years
fantastic.
ago.
Oh,
yeah.
So you're talking about a plan that was put in place 2 years ago that's still in play.
The Spurs did that with the 2010 cap space, LeBron, and then they using that cap space to get Richard Jefferson.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you, and I think that makes sense. That would be what I'd want my GMing to look like. We're waiting on DeMar. According to Mark Stein, the Heat are looking for a sign and trade deal, which it appears there's going to have to be a third team involved. If they're going to land, or maybe even a fourth team to get DeMar where they want him. Kyle Lowry's a free agent. They can go sign him.
Well, they still have the rights to Andre Iguodala. They could do a sign and trade with Andre Iguodala, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero could be thrown as an asset in there. So there's going to be some interesting moves that Miami could make in which they maybe throw in a first-round pick. So maybe you don't like the players that you get, but you get an asset for DeMar and you get some short-term contracts and some veterans.
Yeah, that's the problem, that Iguodala contract that's hanging out there. It's an albatross of a contract.
No, he's a free agent.
Well,
they declined Iguodala's option.
Iguodala ain't coming here.
If he gets paid what we would pay DeMar for 1 year to go to Miami.
How old is Andre?
Oh, he's got to be 35, 36.
I figure they need somebody older, but I'm not looking for that. When was the last time Andre Iguodala was effective?
Well, probably with Miami and their finals run last year or 2 years ago, whatever you want to count, 2020.
Well, if this comes to pass, and Stein is right, Lauri Markkanen lands, check, box filled, at least one shooter. Now, if you go chase with DeMar DeRozan, and there is a deal to be had for them to exit some space, and you start looking at a Duncan Robinson, that's two shooters. Things are picking up.
Wieskamp?
Yeah, Wieskamp. You know, I expect very good things from Wieskamp. I do. I don't expect a whole lot early, but maybe. But he's certainly in the pipeline. I think there's probably a spot to be won from somebody on this roster, on the summer camp roster. I think if there's, I would hope, a lot of these guys I don't recognize. I'd like to think that I do. I see a number 5-0 that is unique, a Justin Robinson, but I don't think he's here to shoot threes. He's here to help our grade point. He's here to help the summer league's grade point average. Got to have a Duke guy in there just to kind of up things, you know.
Scalabissier's in there. He's known as a floor spacer, defensive guy once upon a time.
I like Scal. I watched him play in high school. He came from Haiti. Really had a tough one. Very talented guy. Athleticism's his problem. Scal Labissiere and Charles Bassey play very much the same game. I like them both. There's a place in the league for them, but the game itself has changed, and it's hard to be a 6'10" post anymore if you don't have athleticism. They coming back. MTV is 40. What's the video that you remembered watching first? Video killed the radio star. The Buggles was the first on MTV. What's the first video you actually remember and stick in your head? If you're my age, there's a lot. If you're Carl Schoning's age, you got to go to YouTube to find it. MTV is 40, NBA free agency, Cowboys training camp, and an Olympic medal count. That's all coming your direction. It's halftime. Get your electrolytes up. Go grab an orange slice. And we'll be right back on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Cowboys football is not a gentle game. Cowboys football is not soft. Cowboys football is war.
Just don't use that helmet as a weapon.
When you want total Cowboys football coverage, get it here on the home of the Dallas Cowboys radio network. This is San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN, AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
While most water providers do a pretty good job making sure they exceed EPA guidelines, did you know EPA standards for tap water have not been updated in almost 20 years? With growing concerns of our aging infrastructure, more homeowners want to take their water quality into their own hands. That is why you should call Alamo Water Softeners and have them give you a free water analysis. Some chemicals and contaminants are undetectable. Discover the Alamo Water Softeners difference. Go to alamowatersofteners.com. That's alamowatersofteners.com.
Okay, ladies, we all know one of the greatest feelings in the world when you get together with a friend and she says, "Girl, those pants look amazing on you." But even though I'm happy dancing inside, I just play it cool and say, "Thanks, they're Skechers Go Walk Wear pants." And why do I always get compliments on these casual, athletic, stretchy pants? Because whether I'm hanging with friends or working out, nothing beats the fit, comfort, and versatility of Skechers Go Walk Wear. They're made with comfortable GoFlex fabric that has compression and hold, including a double compression waistband. What's that mean? It gives me curves in all the right places and minimizes the spots where I want a little help. And the versatility is incredible. Go Walk Wear pants have 4 pockets, 2 back and 2 side. Plus, they're machine washable and come in extended sizes, so everyone can look great in these pants. Easy care, easy wear, and made to fit every body. That's the Skechers Go Walk Wear line of pants. Find yours at Skechers.com, a Skechers store, and find retailers everywhere.
O'Reilly. Do you even remember the last time you changed your spark plugs? Well, then now's a good time. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get a $15 gift card after mail-in rebate when you purchase 4 or more select Iridium spark plugs. Put the pep back in your car. Visit your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store or shop O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You took an antacid, and now your frequent heartburn's back. Stop heartburn before it begins with Prilosec OTC. Its unique delayed-release formula blocks heartburn at the source for 24 hours, so you can extinguish heartburn before it starts. Make the switch to Prilosec OTC today and live heartburn-free. Prilosec OTC. 1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Staples Connect has everything for back to school at amazing prices. Right now, Crayola 12-count colored pencils and 10+2 Crayola marker bonus packs and Staples 2-pack scissors are just 97 cents each. So your student won't just be ready for school. They'll be tons of drawings to hang on the fridge ready.
We're going to need a bigger refrigerator.
Visit your local Staples store or staples.com/back-to-school today and get more than ready for school. Ends 9/18. Limit 30 on Crayola. Limit 6 on scissors.
Prescription products require an online consultation. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
Think you might have ED? Not sure? Well, we'd like to let you in on a little secret. ED is common. About 40% of men experience ED by age 40, but the solution is simple. Find it at 4hims.com.
I didn't have to talk to a doctor in person. There was no copay, and the medication was shipped right to my door in discreet packaging.
Hims took care of it, fast and easy. Now our love life is better than ever.
Get access to doctors online who can prescribe you FDA-approved ED medication if appropriate. The same active ingredient as name brands, but 90% cheaper. Skip the waiting rooms and pharmacy lines. Get a free medical consultation and rise to the occasion or your money back. Go to 4hims.com/radio to get your first visit free. No copay required. The only way to get this special offer is to go to 4hims.com/radio. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Hey, San Antonio Sports Star listeners, this is Michael Kielbasa with Kielbasa Smoked Meats. Thanks to fans like you, you can now buy Kielbasa products just about everywhere. We hope you continue to enjoy our handcrafted, small batch smoked meats because we sure enjoy making them for you. So grab some today and let me know what you think. My number's on the back of every pack. Right by my promise that if it's not the best you've ever tasted, I'll give you your money back. Find Kielbasa at a store near you today.
One team, one mission. KZDC, San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN, AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Rob Thompson, Carl Shonen. Halftime.
We're halfway through halftime. It's quarter time. He's Carl Schoenig. I'm Rob Thompson. Thanks for joining us today on I guess, is it still raining out there? Don't mind the brake lights. We'll get you back from lunch. If you want to watch us live, and I highly recommend it, go to sasportstar.com. There you'll see our YouTube feed, our Facebook feed. If you want to talk to us, lots of ways to do it. You can jump out on the phone. Kielbasa Bacon phone line, 656-377-6656 ESPN. Our Twitters, our socials, all just waiting on you. This is going to be a busy day. The fallout we'll deal with all week as free agency will start today at 5 p.m. If you're just joining us, a happy tweet. It appears Mark Stein is telling us that the Spurs' number one candidate from free agency is James Pledger's spirit animal, Lauri Markkanen.
Hey, Sean Elliott is happy about this too. Arizona Wildcat gets on the Spurs roster if that happens.
I wonder. Yeah, I'd like to think he's happy. I've always felt like Sean was an Arizona Wildcat, but he was more of a Lute Olson. You know what I mean? It was more about Lute than it was Arizona. His allegiance was to the great coach and the great man that Lute Olson was. And, maybe he still stands out there for Arizona.
I think all those Arizona guys are Arizona true. I see what you're saying, but I believe that all of them, even Richard Jefferson was talking about how he was involved in the coaching search, and he said no, because I enjoy being mad for 5 minutes after a loss. I'm not mad about anybody after a loss. Those guys, they're still very much emotionally invested in Arizona.
I don't want to go out on a limb here, but Richard Jefferson, you were never a candidate to be the head coach of the Arizona Wildcats. You can think he was. He can. Maybe they acted like he was. They weren't hiring Richard Jefferson.
I don't think he would be a good coach anyway. He has the cushy TV job. He's built for the TV job.
I don't know what he's built for, but it ain't that. Damon Stoudemire is a surprise as a head coach. I watched him play a long time. I never thought he would be a head coach. He's working on it.
I think if you're a former player, you either go the path of media or coaching. Gone are the days of owning a car dealership.
You don't need to do anything if you play your cards right. Hell,
If you
got
play
$100
your
million
cards
in the
right,
bank.
yeah. Got to do something, Rob.
NBA, play golf.
Yeah, that's true.
NBA free agency is in full effect. Dallas Cowboys training camp. We had an opportunity to spend last week there. We'll get you caught up. It's a day off today. They're getting ready for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Don't forget, we're your home for the Dallas Cowboys right here on San Antonio Sports Star. We'll have all your coverage from all 17 regular season, all preseason games. You're going to catch them right here on the San Antonio Sports Star. Also on our brother station, Jack FM. We got your Cowboys covered.
Thursday's going to come fast. I can't wait for that one.
It is San Antonio Sports Star.
Yeah. No,
Thank you. Don't pay no attention to the sound of the rattling chains I'm putting on my turnover. We appreciate everybody helping out too. Not really.
Rob doesn't. I do.
One of the things we endeavor to do every day as you're heading back from your brief lunch is to get you informed. Be ready for the second half of the day. Have a little bit of 3 o'clock energy, a little bit of pepper to add to the conversations. It is time for Carl's Countdown.
I got the point from James Pledger. I can go now. It is Carl's Countdown. We give you the headlines you need to know in the 210. Starting off with headline number 2. In case you didn't stay up for it last night, you missed an all-time great soccer match, the CONCACAF Gold Cup. It was a heavy possession time for Mexico, yet they did not score a goal. It took to the 117th minute in extra time for the United States on a free kick to score what would be the eventual game-winning goal and win the Gold Cup. And I know Rudy J was probably talking a little trash about that, but It was with his wife, as he was saying that she's all Mexico and he's all Team USA. So that's a fun time. I love that rivalry. That's probably the best rivalry for soccer in this country.
It was a nice play.
It was a beautiful play.
The winning score was very men's soccer. Normally, I expect our men's team just to kind of trip over themselves and do something awful. That was respect.
And the funny thing is, like I was saying, they were playing a possession game where they were basically trying to play for the tie and maybe force PKs or get a quick counter the other way. And in that particular sense, it was an intentional foul to stop the counter for that set piece. And Team USA made him go. And what do we have right here? What is this? Oh, my goodness. A report that Steph Curry, this will be headline number 1 now as we just wrap it up here. A report that Steph Curry has signed a 4-year, $215 million contract extension. That could become official at midnight tonight. So that'll be headline number 1.
Are they tampering with their own players? Should we report them? I thought we couldn't do anything until midnight next week.
Well, you can do stuff with your own players,
I
right?
want to make sure, okay.
Midnight tonight is the extensions that can be offered. Luka Doncic, Trae Young. So midnight is even, and Steph. But 5 o'clock is the free agents. So that took over the headline 1. And headline 0, this one breaking, according to Ian Begley of New York TV. He reports that there's mutual interest between DeMar DeRozan and the New York Knicks. So I should go ahead and see if Jason will mind if I get on the Blitz a little later today to talk all the free agency news that'll happen because you know me, I'm going to stay glued to my phone about all this.
You're going to be busy. He is Carl Schoening.
Taking a nap after this. What are you talking about?
The New York Knicks story with DeMar. Boy, I've been saying he's going to look good in that uniform. He's going to, if he decides that, the ring's the thing, and I certainly want to compete for that. But those seats are all taken, and this Miami thing seems to be kind of falling apart. It appears that they're only chasing Lowry, and anything that the Heat would do would be Lowry first, and maybe DeMar would be gravy afterwards. That he with the Knicks can go get 25 a night, every opportunity he wants. Got a young team that'll play defense. He'll be very comfortable in a system where Thibodeau respects his veterans. Knows how to coach them. Julius Randle has found new life there. I mean, he's always been good. New Orleans was not a good spot for him. Now he's got it, surrounded by some young talent. For me, if I'm DeMar's agent and we can't get you into the playoffs, we can't get you on a team where you're pretty much assured a second or a third round, Knicks would be a nice landing spot, man.
They're the 4 seed in the East, and I would love it. I am a fan of New York City. I would love it if the Nets and the Knicks were the 1 and the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, competing for that top 3 seed all year long. That would be amazing. That would be a very fun time in New York this year.
And while it appears on the outside that Brooklyn owns the apple, that it's all Brooklyn, it's not. No one gives a damn about the Nets. It is all Knicks all the time in front of those 15 million people. So, yeah, you might not be headed for a ring, but you can live the life of a king. Ask Carmelo what it's like to be a Knick. Even when you're losing, it's a pretty good life. So I would like to see DeMar land there. I'd like to see him chasing the ring, but either way, go to the East. So I don't want to have to play you over and over because I know how good he is. And I think at the end of the day, he's one of those players that won't ever say it, but he'll save a little something for the Spurs.
I think he enjoyed his time in San Antonio. I know it wasn't a dream time in San Antonio, but I think there are players that maybe leave, and when they have that date circled for maybe vendetta reasons, it's not going to be a vendetta, I don't think.
No, he didn't ask to come here. He was a good soldier. He did everything he was asking, then some. But, he was forced into this, and I think he's been I don't think he liked it here. I think he liked Pop. I think he liked playing with the Spurs. I don't think he liked San Antonio. This guy's from LA, spent time in Toronto, 2 of the more urbane, wonderful places in the world if you want to get out and be. DeMar, I don't think ever fit in here.
I do think DeMar did like the low-key part of San Antonio because anytime his name was brought up in the news and somebody asked him about that, he's like, did I say it? Did my mama say it?
No, respect.
Yeah, and I think that's really something that as we move forward in this social media era, a low-key team like San Antonio will become more appealing because you're not dealing with the constant paparazzi or the rumors and all those things that comes with an LA or a New York.
Well, don't you think if you're that age, you want that?
All the people that are recruits right now that are getting recruited by all those colleges, they want it as 16, 17, 18-year-olds. I see some of these bounce backs that were 5 stars that went to 5-star schools, and they're going to FBS schools after that group of 5. They don't want it anymore. You get over that glitz and glamour pretty quick, I think, if you're an athlete.
Good question on the Facebook live feed from Frank Patello. If the Spurs do a sign and trade with the Knicks, who do we get back from the Knicks? I don't think there's a sign and trade off.
No, they actually have the most cap space of $51 million.
They don't need to make a deal. And quite frankly, the Knicks and the Spurs organizations do not get along.
Yeah, that's a weird thing going back to that Porzingis thing you brought up earlier.
Yeah, they're pretty sure that we tampered, that we flew over to Kristaps' hometown and tried to talk him into leaving. And I think there's some validity to that. I do think we didn't necessarily tamper by the letter of the law, but I do think we were having some conversations that we might not have been should have been having. I'm just laying it out there.
If I remember that correctly, Porzingis asked for a trade, and he gave a list of like 4 teams that he would prefer to be on, and the Spurs were not one of those teams. And the Knicks thought that that was his way of saying trade me to the Spurs by not mentioning them. And then 45 minutes later, he was traded to Dallas. It's like the Knicks didn't even take an hour to think about that trade demand. They just got mad at the Spurs and gave him to Dallas out of spite.
Well, they got a pretty good deal. But I do think that there's some animosity there. I'd like to think that at some point we could get along with that crew, but I don't think anything will happen there. And they've got plenty of money to sign.
They're not going to do a sign and trade with the Spurs.
But if we could, I like Juancho. I'm telling you, I'd go after, what's his name? Hernan
Gomez?
Yeah, the international baller. I like him. I like his game. That'd be something to get, but I don't think anything would be coming back from the Knicks. Dallas Cowboy training camp is in full effect. We're going to have our first game coming up on Thursday. Here's what we know from the training camp that we have watched, at least from the sidelines, as we were out there all of last week. And we certainly want to thank AA Best Bail Bonds, Southern Recipe Small Batch Pork Rinds, E-Wall Kubota. That's a fine tractor for getting us out there and giving you the opportunity to get some eagle eyes on the practices. The defense is turning around. This is going to be a fly to the ball defense that will give up some turnovers. You can tell that there is an intensity about turnovers that will be new, that the defensive backfield will be steady, if not really good. Candidate can play because he can play. Trayvon Diggs looks spectacular. And these are guys that are looking really good against a pretty good set of wide receivers. No, Gallup's banged up. I'll agree. We didn't get to see a lot of him. We watched him flip over a fence. Amari Cooper looks fine. He's just not running, but he's not practicing, but he looks pretty smooth. D-Law's going to be fine. The defense won the week. And that should be a good bit of news. That's a good thing because, well, first, defense is always ahead of the offense. But more importantly, they were picking the ball off. Dak threw an interception. Backups threw some interceptions. But the attitude is different. It's just different. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when Chris Richard first stepped foot onto the field, when the Cowboys went in and had a 13-3 year, you could tell when Richard set foot on the field that it was different. The team felt and acted different. You watch what Quinn does, they look and act different. Now, the question with Dak certainly needs to be answered. How's that shoulder doing?
I thought you weren't worried about that.
Well, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. When I first heard it, I felt like, oh, no, here we go. We're 3 days into practice, 1 day into pads, and he's already dealing with a bad shoulder. And I thought, here we go. We're going to hide him. There's going to be an issue. We're not going to be told the straight news. But I'll tell you, that's one of the great things about being in camp is you're standing around, you hear the whispers, you see the coaches, you see the attitudes when they see these guys. Dak's going to be okay. His arm's just tired. But I can tell you this, backup quarterback is not a position of strength. I think it's a position of need, and I'm not sure who's going to be backup, the number one primary backup. I get the feeling he's not in camp yet.
Is Nick Foles still available?
I honestly believe, Carl, that after last year, when the Cowboys did actually, coming into the season, even with all the COVID stuff and all that, they had what they believed, everything they needed to be competitive, and they went and signed Andy Dalton to a ridiculous backup quarterback contract. And he got to play, and it didn't help at all. I mean, there was no benefit. $8 million, $2 million, it was still losses. There were so many problems that I get the feeling that Jerry and Steven and Will McClay, the brain trust up there, along with Mike McCarthy. He's Mike if you talked with him in the last week face-to-face. So I can call him Mike.
There's a lot of Mikes in the world, though. I'd add the McCarthy at the end there.
He's just Mike. He's just Mike. But anyway, I think that the brain trust looks at that and says, why spend any money on anything more than a placeholder at backup quarterback?
You just gave Dak Prescott the biggest signing bonus in NFL history, $67 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
You do that in hopes that he plays 17 games because you saw last year that this team is basically screwed if he doesn't play.
So why spend money on a backup?
Exactly.
If he goes down.
If he goes down, you know that you should just go ahead and hope for the best pick available.
Well, you got Garrett Gilbert. You got the
Danucci, yeah.
Not less than impressive. I didn't get a good feel on the running game.
No,
I'll tell you
don't
that.
think Zeke will have a back?
No, I think he's going to have I don't know. I can only feel I got from the running game was watching the offensive line practice.
Mm.
And to a man, that team, their approach to weightlifting and conditioning in the offseason has changed. I don't know if it's a new coach involved, a new strength trainer. They're going for leaner muscle. You look at Lael Collins, he looks significant. He's walking around without a shirt on. He looks significantly leaner, like obviously pounds. Tyron he doesn't look leaner. He looks more defined. Neither one of these guys are carrying body mass like they used to. And I don't know if that tells me that this is going to be a mobile kind of offense where you're going to have these offensive guys getting out in the front, in the flat, pulling and getting some space moves, or it's just an idea of this is how to stay better healthy for some guys that have been dinged up pretty consistently. But that line looks different. They look quicker.
Let's find out the answer to who that is and see if we can get him on, because the evolution of the trenches is really what I think has changed the game. You're dealing with these Myles Garrett guys out there that are 6'6", could be NBA small forwards with their burst of athleticism off that line. It is a very different game to where you can't have those big fat guys out there anymore. You got to have bodybuilder size out there now.
You got the run stuffers. You got your edge rushers. I'll tell you, the offensive line looks quick. I can't wait to see D-Law get back out there. He looks pretty good. If you're waiting on Tristan Hill, it ain't going to happen anytime soon. Defense, at least on the defensive line, that's going to be a work in progress all season. I think that will be the weakest part of that defense. The backside has improved, and then you got the linebackers. Let me tell you, when you see a linebacking crew, when they've got Micah in there, Jabril in there, and Van Der Esch, that is speed to the ball, man. And then you throw Kazee in there, who is as big as any linebacker. There's guys heading to the ball quickly. It's going to be an interesting defense to watch, but my concern is if they go up against a stout running game, like we see against that I expect Saquon is going to have with the Giants. If they go up against a Viking team in the playoffs, which I doubt, or they go up against a team that's going to hang their hat on running the ball, that's going to be a problem. I don't think that that's a run-stopping defense. I think that's a ball-hawking, bend but don't break, get some turnovers and get off the field kind of defense. And if that's enough, then it'll, they don't need 14, 18 points a game. You guys are on the halftime. If you want to talk, put on the chain. It's
already on.
You can't just say it. It's hard to roll off the tongue. I'm sorry. That's a verbal crutch. Get that rid of.
The blitz.
You're tuned into halftime.
It's
on halftime. You want to talk to us? Lots of ways. 210-656-3776, 656-ESPN. I'm appreciating everybody on our Facebook feed. That seems to be the easiest way to jump in. But if you want to go another route, we're monitoring it. Yes, the defensive lines. I appreciate Franklin's got some great points. The defensive lines that the Cowboys are going to face are solid. Washington's the best defensive line in football. There's no question about that. They're going to have to be ready. I think that defense is going to be good enough to keep them in every game. So far, so good.
You jump to offense, and before we wrap up this segment, I want to ask one question as somebody who watched the Cowboys much more closely than I did last year, obviously being the Cowboys station. Last year, I was not on the Cowboys station. So how much of that record-setting terrible year for the defense was because Dak Prescott was out week 5? If you're not scoring points, that means the defense is out there longer, all those kinds of things.
Well, the Cowboys brought in a new defensive coordinator last year with the last name of Nolan, who really was a buddy of McCarthy.
There you go.
And the schemes weren't appropriate. It was a classic misstep in every situation. Yes, Dak being out hurt because there wasn't any kind of ball control. And then you lose your offensive line. And then you got a running back with the yips who keeps dropping the ball the first half of the season. All those combined to create what was a biblically bad defense. Biblically. People miscast, overpaid in the wrong places. It was as bad as it could have been. So the offseason was solely focused on get healthy on the offensive side and sign the guys you need to sign and load up on defense. Go get as much talent as you can find through the draft, through free agency. We're going to start throwing spaghetti against the wall. Something's got to stick. And then go hire a defensive coordinator. So while Dak played a role, his absence played a role in that bad defense, that kind of catastrophic failure had a bunch of reasons. And Dak was only just a small part of a miscast, miscoached, COVID-ridden, terrible year. And when you talk with Jerry Jones, in fact, I believe Jason Minix called his defense the worst of all time to Jerry's face. That was awful. Jerry didn't flinch. He knew it.
Statistically, it was.
And there's no, if you try to dance around it, you look stupid. Mm-hmm. If you try to dance around and find a reason or say, well, they weren't that bad. They were bad in every possible way. So with the turn, yeah, we lay a little bit on Dak there, Carl, but it was 100 other reasons that all kind of fell into what was just a pathetic exhibition. We're talking free agency when we come back. DeMar DeRozan, where's he going to go? Lots of rumors floating around as we speak. It appears Miami is active in the Kyle Lowry chase. There is mutual interest between DeMar and every team looking for a scoring guard. And the San Antonio Spurs' primary prospect, the number one guy on the Spurs offseason list, Lowry Markkanen, well, that's been backed up. We'll get you caught up on all the news. We'll get to let you know what's happening. It's halftime. And you're on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Rangers on the radio.
Here's the pitch and the ground ball left side. Diving Culberson, he's got it. Throws to second in time for the force on Walsh.
It's San Antonio's favorite addiction.
And there's a high drive, well hit left center field. Way back at the wall, Lewis and Trammell, and it is history. A 3-run Jimmy Jack for Adolis Garcia.
Go ahead. Have another hit. San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN, AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Howdy, San Antonio. Chip Ingram from the Roo Pub and the Angry Elephant, inviting you to come out and enjoy patio season. We have newly remodeled patios, garage doors, and everything else you need to enjoy this great South Texas weather. As always, ice cold beer and specialty drinks, happy hours daily from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., and our kitchen is open from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. See you soon at the Roo Pub and the Angry Elephant at 281 and Redland Road.
While most water providers do a pretty good job making sure they exceed EPA guidelines, did you know EPA standards for tap water have not been updated in almost 20 years? With growing concerns of our aging infrastructure, more homeowners want to take their water quality into their own hands. That is why you should call Alamo Water Softeners and have them give you a free water analysis. Some chemicals and contaminants are undetectable. Discover the Alamo Water Softeners difference. Go to alamowatersofteners.com. That's alamowatersofteners.com.
If your brakes are bad or you think they're going bad, get them fixed. Hi, Jason Minix here for New Brakes, nubrakes.com. They're a mobile brake shop. That means they come to you to fix your brakes. We're all busy. None of us have time to go spend hours waiting at a repair shop or want to deal with the hassle of dropping your car off and going back to get it the next day. That is the beauty of New Brakes. They come to you. New Brakes provides convenient and affordable brake repairs, and they only fix brakes, so you won't get the upsells like at a traditional repair shop. Most repairs are done in less than an hour. They use premium brake parts and back all repairs with a 24-month, 24,000-mile warranty. Go to nubrakes.com. Schedule that repair. Save 10% when you mention my name or ESPN San Antonio. You need your brakes done? Get them done with New Brakes. You continue to do what you do while New Brakes fixes your brakes, and they're great at what they do. Go read all the 5-star reviews and schedule your repair at nubrakes.com. That's nubrakes.com.
If an education can help you prepare for a career change, here's an opportunity. University of Phoenix is awarding up to $1 million in new scholarships this month. You could earn between $2,000 and $3,000 in a non-cash tuition scholarship. See which one you may qualify for at phoenix.edu.
Prescription products require an online consultation. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
Think you might have ED? Not sure? Well, we'd like to let you in on a little secret. ED is common. About 40% of men experience ED by age 40, but the solution is simple. Find it at 4hims.com.
I didn't have to talk to a doctor in person. There was no copay, and the medication was shipped right to my door in discreet packaging.
Hims took care of it, fast and easy. Now our love life is better than ever.
Get access to doctors online who can prescribe you FDA-approved ED medication if appropriate. The same active ingredient as name brands, but 90% cheaper. Skip the waiting rooms and pharmacy lines. Get a free medical consultation and rise to the occasion or your money back. Go to 4hims.com/radio to get your first visit free. No copay required. The only way to get this special offer is to go to 4hims.com/radio. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Injuries happen, so if you twist, pull, pop, or snap something, you need Dr. David Espinosa at TSAOG Orthopedics. Dr. Espinosa treats all non-surgical orthopedic injuries and has same-day and next-day availability. Telemedicine services are also available. There is no reason to be in pain. If you are hurting, visit Dr. David Espinosa at TSAOG Orthopedics. Learn more at TSAOG.com. That's TSAOG.com. Or schedule your appointment by calling 210-804-5490.
Take a break from the hustle. This is Halftime with Rob Thompson and Carl Schoening on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Kevin Primo is the Spurs' first pick. I don't have to wear the turnover chain for that. That's a previous foul.
Yeah, that was the day of.
Kevin Primo.
To be fair, it was after Nobu.
It was.
Oh, that's true.
I think I went to high school with Kevin.
I was surprised you showed up to the Blitz or the R&R in the morning that day. There's a chain for me. I know. I was surprised that you guys were there. I kind of thought that it was just going to be Pledge and I.
Oh, on the morning?
The morning show. I thought it was going to be J and K in the morning.
We powered through that night. Powered through.
Pledge seems to claim that you guys didn't even go to sleep that night.
No, I had to sleep. There wasn't much. We did power through. The problem is, when you're staying in a less than nice.
Yeah.
I don't want to defame a terrible hotel.
You mean hotel hell?
There wasn't a lot of sleep to be had between the gunplay. No gunplay, by the way. Although there were mattresses and couches inexplicably in the back parking lot.
Just there collecting bed bugs for 2 weeks?
They were going to put those back in the rooms. They tried to tell us that they were doing some remodeling and replacing beds. I didn't. So there were stacks of mattresses in the back parking lot.
What was Maddie Sky's line? Stop asking questions and do somersaults?
Yeah.
She was right.
How easily do bed bugs stick to you if I just used it as a trampoline? Because that was my fear. It is a miracle that none of us came back with bed bugs. I'm not kidding. It is a miracle. It was an absolute nightmare.
The amount of showering and delousing y'all must have done when y'all got home.
When you travel, like Jason Minix is an experienced traveler. He we've traveled all over the place. I love traveling with Minix because he's always got everything you need. I just get out of the house. I'm lucky if I packed all the right shoes. You get in the car or you get in on a travel with Minix. We sit down on an airline. Jason pulls out his little medical travel bag. We have disinfectant. We got spray. We got wipes. We got everything we need. You check into that hotel room. Jason didn't have enough supplies to get that room back to the safety standards that he's required. He didn't spend a lot of time there. But training camp was interesting. NBA free agency. I wonder how long it'll be before we get our first or next Woj bomb. This is where we sit. This is what we have seen coming through prior to the 5 o'clock deadline. Now you're going to be hearing 6 o'clock when you're listening to the Nationals. That's Eastern time. They're not qualifying it. So at 5 o'clock, that's when the news will be flowing and the blitz will be there. Jason Minix will have all your NBA news. So there is mutual interest, we have been told, between DeMar and everyone.
Half the league, at least.
It seems that way. And he's the number one free agent out there. That should not surprise anybody. Now, it's how the interest is applied. Is it a sign and trade kind of interest? Is it straight up free agent kind of interest? Is really more important to us as Spurs fans. It appears that Lauri Markkanen, this according to a tweet that Mark Stein was cited, that Lauri Markkanen, the jump shooting 4 previously of Arizona, 1 year there, been with the Bulls there for 3, is their number 1 target. That's huge. We heard from Brian Wright over the weekend that he told us, look, man, we did not go after, or we did not fill team needs in the first draft pick, in our number 1 draft pick. We know that we still need shooting. We're not blind. And we know that we need to augment our front line. Well, it kind of does both with Lauri Markkanen. It kind of augments the front line. He is tall, though he's not a defender, not a post defender by any stretch. Doesn't mean he can't learn it, but he's a shooter. And everybody on the Spurs should be happy about that. Carl, what are your thoughts on Kelly Oubre?
He would be a 3-and-D option. If we were looking for a cheaper option, say Oubre didn't come, the return of Danny Green. He's basically...
Does he remind you of Danny Green?
He's a better version of Danny Green, who's also 25. And I think he has bounced around enough that he wants to find a long-term home, and he can sort of be the veteran that replaces DeMar for this young Spurs. But what does that actually look like? Is he wanting to come in here and be a starter and maybe take away that 3 position from Keldon, and we keep Keldon at small ball 4? Do we really sign Markkanen and then Oubre? And I don't know where Keldon ends up in that whole mess of new forwards that come into the game. So it's a very tough situation to bring in somebody who has been sort of the first or second option on a couple teams, depending on where he is. And then last year with the Warriors, he was like the 5th option.
Kelly Oubre, been a pro since 2015. He's a top 15 pick. With the Warriors now. With the Suns there for a bit, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in the OKC Chris Paul trade.
OKC move.
I think that's right.
6'7", wing defender. No one has ever questioned his skill, his talent. No one's ever questioned that.
Out of Kansas, he was a one-and-done guy.
He was, but everything else, he's got a huge social media following.
He is very big into the fashion.
Huge.
I think he does modeling. If he doesn't, he does the TV show stuff.
I've seen him do some. I've seen him on Twitter, and certainly he's huge. But there's more to it. His social media is his second gig. He's really big into that, and that doesn't necessarily fit with the Spurs. But you just said the key there, the Kansas connection, and that's why I buy into this.
You know, is it 1 year with Bill Self, a Kansas connection? 5 years later,
that's enough.
Okay,
because the relationship the San Antonio Spurs have with the University of Kansas goes deep and long. I mean, RC, Pop, both spent time on those benches. Self is very much a cohort of those guys. He's in with USA basketball. When I hear the Kansas connection and Kelly Oubre, I think that there's more legs to this than anything else. And we've seen our players, even there's been some mentions about wanting to come to San Antonio. Cheap grab, makes us more athletic. I'm completely in. Let's get him.
It's interesting. I don't know if cheap is the right word, because you might be throwing $20 million at him. I think that's what he's reportedly wanting.
In the modern NBA, that's cheap.
I don't think it necessarily is, because he becomes the highest paid player on the Spurs.
Now, not forever.
True.
But now, I mean, we got young guys that are eventually going to get paid, but to get an acceptable starting player in the NBA, the likes of which that Kelly Oubre is, I think $20 million it's like minimum. I mean, you hope to get a guy under contract that you underpay for a year or two, but if you can get the minutes that I expect and the game that I know Kelly Oubre owns, that he has, that's a great addition.
And you'll find Spurs fans who want to counter the point, saying they want to see Lonnie Walker, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson get those minutes at the 2-3.
I agree. If Oubre comes, somebody's leaving. I think that
I can see that.
I cannot imagine a situation, unless, of course, the Spurs stand pat. Go get a Lauri Markkanen. Decide we're not going to chase Collins. We're not going to chase Portis. We're not going to go long on something we don't need. Spend a little bit of money to augment your front line. If it's JaVale McGee, maybe. I don't care. Get a little bit of help. Aim for about 30 wins, 25 to 30 wins, and move on. That's what I'm getting from
26 wins. 26.
I'll take 26. Pop. Why 26?
Pop. That's got to be the hardest NBA record to break.
We're only after those wins. Seriously, the only wins we need this year. So Pop, at the end of the season, will be the winningest coach in NBA history.
Whether or not he claims to care about it, the Spurs fans care about it. We want to see him get that record.
He doesn't care about it now. You will care about it later. It's kind of like when the Spurs chose not to go undefeated at home. We chose not to. We could have. Because it really didn't measure up. It wasn't that important. We needed some load management. And it would have been nice to be able to talk about that. At least one point in the last 5 years, the Spurs went undefeated at home, and they chose not to. It's those little things that at the time you go, nah, it wasn't that big a deal. But looking back, it would have been cool.
That's true.
It didn't, and I think Pop's, I don't want that means nothing to me. Wins, that's all yesterday. I don't think about yesterday. But at the end of the day, when he finally gets his gold watch and heads off into the sunset, puts that plaque up, introduced always, 5-time champ, winningest coach in NBA history. Gold medal winner, we hope.
If let's assume that he does get the all-time record, what do they put up? You were talking about Patty Mills earlier getting his jersey retired. What does Pop get?
What does he not get?
What does he get? A number? Does he get a number retired?
Does he get number 2 retired? We will play on the Greg Popovich court. We will drive up to the next Spurs stadium on Greg Popovich Way. We will award some kind of something behind the scenes to a player every year, the Popovich something award. He is everything that the San Antonio Spurs are. Everything. As much as Red Auerbach, when you say Red Auerbach, you see green. No matter what. When you say Greg Popovich, you will always see silver and black. Is he part and parcel of this? Yes. His legend will go down for 50 years. I don't want the scowl logo when he goes into the rafters. I want the Doc Brown. I want total Doc Brown, long flowing mane. That's how I want to remember Greg Popovich.
It's funny. I only brought up 2 because Red Auerbach's number 2 is retired randomly. Of course, he never wore 2 for the Celtics, but that would be interesting if Pop had his number 2
nice
retired.
little dig at Kawhi, too.
Right? That's kind of ironic. I didn't think about that when I said that.
The winningest coach in NBA history. How many wins is that?
I think it's 1336.
That's his number. Whatever the last, what his total is, his win total when he retires, that's the number we put on the jersey.
What about a statue out front of the big 3 and Pop together?
It has to happen. At some point,
Absolutely.
We got to get this done. Heck, I think they're already putting the brand new poster of the Freak in front of them. I think it's already done. If we're going to get the whittled out version before they get it bronzed up. Yes, it's coming. Somebody's going to have to step in there and do it. And the thing is, as long as Pop's in control of this, it won't get done because he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't like that kind of stuff. But there'll be a big 3 in Pop. I'd say several places. Let's do it all over town. We're going to put a bow on the show. Look forward to free agency. Catch you up with some headlines. Get you ready for the Blitz at 4 o'clock. It's halftime. And this is San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
A 17-week season. And only one couch. Let's hope it holds up. The Cowboys are back. The explosive action happens here. San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
I'm James Pledger, and in the NBA, it's the start of free agency as the negotiating window opens today at 5 o'clock, with deals becoming official Friday at midnight. A couple of names to keep an eye on for the San Antonio Spurs this week. Warriors forward Kelly Oubre Jr., who according to the San Antonio Express News is Tom Osborne, there's mutual interest, and Oubre thinks his game will flourish under Pop and the Spurs developmental staff. The Mavs, Knicks, and Heat have also been mentioned in connection with Oubre. In Major League Baseball, the Astros fell in their rubber game to the Giants 5-3 as they get the day off today, while the Rangers got their second straight walk-off from catcher Jonah Heim as he hit a walk-off homer to give Texas a 4-3 win over the Seattle Mariners to take 2-3 in that series. Tonight, they open up a series with the Angels with first pitch set for 7:05, a game you can catch right here. I'm James Pledger for San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Staples Connect has everything for back to school at amazing prices. Right now, Crayola 12-count colored pencils and 10+2 Crayola marker bonus packs and Staples 2-pack scissors are just 97 cents each. So your student won't just be ready for school. They'll be tons of drawings to hang on the fridge ready.
We're going to need a bigger refrigerator.
Visit your local Staples store or staples.com/back-to-school today and get more than ready for school. Ends 9/18. Limit 30 on Crayola. Limit 6 on scissors.
Stop living with that awful joint pain and don't let them tell you that surgery is your only option. Hey, it's James Pledger for San Antonio Sports Star here, excited to tell you about QC Kinetics right here in Hollywood Park in Westover Hills. QC Kinetics is the leader in biologic therapies, regenerative solutions that can repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, pain in your hips. Patients here are raving about getting lasting results from QC Kinetics. Call now to learn more at 210-571-0318. If you have chronic joint pain, don't assume the old treatments are the only treatments. Learn more about new biologic therapy options now available here. Restorative, regenerative joint treatments for joint pain. Finally, call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics at 210-571-0318. 210-571-0318. Get your life back without pain. 210-571-0318.
On our first date, we had masks on and kept 6 feet apart. Now, we're a lot closer.
Just like Cliff and Deb, thousands of singles over 50 found their perfect match on Silver Singles last year.
I feel like I'm 20 years old again, and I'm pretty sure she feels the same way.
Rediscover the magic of dating with Silver Singles, the exclusive community for singles over 50. Sign up today and receive daily matches you won't want to miss at silversingles.com/radio. silversingles.com/radio.
Don't let a slick Willie or some Johnny-come-lately throw you a fast one. Go with a trusted pro you can count on. Your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer is trained to be the best. Quality service before and after installation. American Standard Air.
Go with the pros at Aramindia, the same company South Texans have trusted for over 30 years. American Standard. Comfort the way you like it, comfort you can afford.
ARAMENDIA, Aramindia.
License number THCLA 447668.
Not all pizza places are the same. Mellow Mushroom originated hand-tossed, stone-baked classic Southern pizza. Not in the mood for pizza? Order a calzone, hoagie, sandwich, burger, or a mellow salad and see how care goes into every item on the menu. Take your pick from 24 draft beers and or handcrafted cocktails. And many of the pizzas can be made gluten-free or vegan. Mellow Mushroom is at 1604 in Stone Oak Parkway. Hang with friends, watch the game, and mellow out at Mellow Mushroom.
Oh, according to research, 82% of people remember radio ads. That means that 82% of you listening right now will remember that this is an ad for ZipRecruiter. If you're hiring, 82% of you will recall that ZipRecruiter makes hiring faster and easier. And 82% of you will note that you can try ZipRecruiter for free today. But you have to go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio, like where this ad plays. 82% of you will keep in mind that ZipRecruiter's technology finds qualified people for your job and actively invites them to apply.
Scott, is that you? Who are you talking to?
82% of you will also know that I live with my mom. But the most important thing to note is that ZipRecruiter works. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Will you be part of the 82% who remember where you can try ZipRecruiter for free? It's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Again, that exclusive link is ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Yes, radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
If you get arrested, get out of jail fast by calling AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. Text bail to 474747 or online mybestbailbonds.com. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else. Don't be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you one, make sure you understand the conditions before accepting it. AA Best Bail Bonds. Nobody beats their price. They have payment plans. Call 210-225-2121 or mybestbailbonds.com.
License number 149.
Ribs, burgers, chicken. Submit what you cooked on the grill or smoker, and you can win a $50 gift card from Tri-County Meat Market. Grilling with the Blitz. Online at sasportstar.com.
This is Greeny, weekdays 10 a.m. to noon on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN, AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
The officials are waving at us. Halftime's almost done. Replenish those electrolytes. Put on another jersey. We got a second half to play. In just a couple of minutes, he is Carl Schoening. I'm Rob Thompson. James Pledger producing this restaurant quality radio show. So I'm looking at the Spurs roster right now with the addition of Wieskamp, Iowa forward, with Josh Primo, Alabama guard. I count one. I won't even count DeQuan Jeffries in there. He's still on the Summer League team. He might still be around. DeMar, 1. DeQuan, 2. Trey Jones, 3. Patty Mills, 4, although, I won't even count Patty Mills.
Yeah, are you counting DeMar too? You said DeMar.
Yeah, I'm counting DeMar.
Okay.
DeJounte, Devin, Lonnie, Quinndary.
Quindary's not on the roster
That's
anymore.
right, he's gone.
Nope.
And Derek White. 8. Guard, forward, kind of slashes.
Did you say Primo?
I did include Primo.
Okay.
Of those 8, if Lauri Markkanen was part of a sign and trade deal, who do you offer? Who do we send that would be appropriate to go to the Bulls that we could maybe get Lauri a little bit less, or the sign and trade to get some gravy? Who do you send? If we're not going to sign him outright, it looks like he's going to have to be traded. They have qualified. They've tendered him. So we're going to have to beat that. Maybe we can find a sign and trade. You have to send somebody. Bringing in a potential 6-man maybe starter at some point if he can learn to play defense, but right now I don't think he could start. Who do you send?
Who, Markkanen? You don't think Markkanen can start?
I think under Pop's idea of what defense needs to be, how defense needs to play at 4, I don't think he'll be a starting 4. I think maybe he could learn to, but we know how Pop and defense are. I think it'll be a while, but what he can bring immediately is a jump shot, 16 points a night.
Well, if you phrase it like that, I don't think you can trade anybody for him if he's not going to be a starter. You don't trade a Derek White or a DeJounte Murray who would match up there. If we're talking mathematics here, those are the 2 players that you'd have to include in the sign and trade that would be of value because they're probably looking for a guard in Chicago. That's probably – I don't think I'd do that for either. That's not good asset management if that's how you feel about Markkanen.
I feel like he is defensively lacked. But you even brought up earlier, when you go for shooting, normally you give up defense to get it. Very rarely do you get a wing 3 defender that's just a snipe that will play lockdown defense. And Lauri Markkanen, that's been his issue. He doesn't play very good defense.
I'd rather develop our guys like obviously a Keldon. It would be great if he could develop a 35 to 40% three-point percentage shot. Lonnie, Devin Vassell. I don't think there are too many NBA players who are great shooters before the age of 22. So let those guys develop as shooters, and they're also already really good defenders.
When was the last time we developed a shooter?
Danny Green.
Kawhi.
No.
Bryn Forbes.
Bryn Forbes was a shooter. Davis was a shooter when he got here. That's why he came.
True.
Bryn Forbes was a shooter when he got here. That's why he came.
He was undrafted out of Michigan State.
He was a shooter when he got here.
That's true.
We didn't develop that jump shot. Luka.
He was in Austin for a year, Bryn.
Yeah, I'm not. He was but these were shooters that Bellinelli was a shooter when he got here the first time.
So by that logic, is Primo a shooter?
He's a scorer, and we got to differentiate the two. Don't ever get lost in the idea of a scorer is a shooter. DeMar is a scorer. He ain't a shooter.
Well, Nate Oates said it on Nate Oates said it on halftime when we had him on earlier. I almost said it. That he is somebody who plays off ball primarily to be a floor spacer. They did put him in sort of a guard role, and he lost a little bit of confidence, and they'd rather have him as a shooter. But it's good to know that he's already gotten some of those reps. But I think mostly Primo is his NBA-ready skill is shooting. 38% in the SEC, over 100 attempts.
Let's hope. But developing a shooter, it just doesn't. You don't just develop a shooter. Those guys they get here as shooters. You develop them elsewhere.
Kawhi was the last guy I can remember that was a non-3-point shooter that developed into a 3-point shooter.
He developed a acceptable, but he was always a bit of a scorer. And I'll give England every bit of credit. I'm not going to say that it can't be done, but to develop him from a 30% jump shooter or a 3-point shooter to a 38% jump shoot, that's a big ask for anybody. But maybe it can happen. I get the feeling if Lauri Markkanen is going to be part of this, it's going to cost us something.
I don't think so. They went after Vucevic and they benched him. I don't think he's in their plans. I think that they the Spurs still need to overpay a little bit because of asset management. The Bulls should match any low ball offer that he maybe agrees to with the Spurs. But if it's $15 million or north, I don't think the Bulls should match that.
You think we'll be minus Alani Walker by the end of the week? Who's the most likely Spur to go?
Well, what are we getting back?
I'm just asking you a question. Who do you think is the one that you look at the Spurs and you go, what's the most likely guy to be replaced?
What, are you bored? Do you just want to make a trade to make a trade?
I
No.
know that this roster, as it's currently put together, with the addition of one more guard, there's not enough room. There's not enough room to keep everybody here.
You keep those players so when a Ben Simmons is available for a trade, you can make that blockbuster
he
trade.
is available. That's
Yes.
why I'm saying
absolutely.
who's going to go.
Absolutely. If Lonnie Walker is needed to make a Ben Simmons trade happen, probably he's gone.
Would you wave goodbye to Lonnie first? That's the first guy you put in. Like, yeah, you can have some Lonnie.
I cheer for him to go back to PA and be a good player. Absolutely.
Second, after Lonnie, they say, no, we don't want Lonnie. Who's the second guy you go? You can go, but we got to keep the rest. Is it Derek White?
I like Derek out there as a potential trade piece because he is probably the best player on the Spurs. So you have to get a player just as good, if not better, if you're giving up a Derek White.
Because we know Keldon is out of the conversation.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're not going to come asking for Keldon. So you got to figure DeJounte and Derek, one of those two is going to be the first ask for everybody. Then maybe a little bit of Lonnie. What do you think?
We'll see what happens. It's going to be a fun week.
This is the halftime. We'll see you tomorrow.
Football in America is a special game, a unique game played like nowhere else on earth. It's a rare game, and the men that play it make it so. Lamb, Smith, Martin, and Coach Mike McCarthy. And today